This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required by law. Certain portions of the meeting may be closed to the public for purpose of personnel or other matters as outlined in the Sunshine Law. Decisions made or discussed in closed session will be made known to the public at a later date. All contracts awarded by mayor and council must comply with the affirmative action requirements of NJAC 17:47. Fire exits are located in the directions I have indicated. In the event of a fire, please move in a calm, orderly manner to the nearest smoke-free exit. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hokanson?
Here.
Councilman Cassius?
Here.
Councilwoman Story? Here. Councilman Kelly?
Here.
Councilman Almarasi?
Here.
And Mayor Carty?
Here.
6 members present, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time I'd ask everybody to please stand. Madam Clerk, would you please lead us in a prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Eternal God, grant us thy help in all our duties and all our perplexities. We ask for thy guidance. Give us thy protection in all our dangers and all our sorrows. Grant us thy peace. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any communications this evening?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. With regard to report and recommendations of mayor, at this time I'll pass on that because I'd like to do a certificate, proclamation for a young man who I consider a friend of our families and really a superstar in our community. Excuse me. If I can please ask Mark Signorello to please step forward. Now, Mark Signorello is another humble young man. I've seen him grow up from a little kid to a chunky kid to the man that he is today. Over the years, one thing that I always knew, he had a great sense of humor. He was as bright as the day is long, and I saw him develop into a super athlete. Back in December of last year, Mark was selected as a student scholar athlete by News 12 New Jersey. He was one of a very select few students who were recognized for that. Roselle Park is known as a community where athletes are revered and academics sometimes fall by the wayside. The truth of the matter is that in any spectrum that we look at, it's certainly much better to have somebody who's well balanced. Mark happens to be a person who excelled as a student, who happened to be a good athlete as well. He's a great person, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to present to him this proclamation that reads, whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Roselle Park have been advised that Mark Signorello has been recognized as News 12 New Jersey Scholar Athlete, and whereas said Mark Signorello is a senior who is ranked number 6 in his class and is a 3-sport athlete for 3 of his 4 years of high school, participating in football, wrestling, and golf. And whereas Mark Signorello is a very determined athlete and possesses the mental toughness to achieve his goals. And whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Roselle Park wish to join the family and many friends of Mark Signorello in recognizing his outstanding athletic and academic accomplishments, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Roselle Park that sincere congratulations and best wishes be extended, and that a copy of this proclamation be presented to Mark Signorello in honor of this occasion. Congratulations. You didn't want to say anything, but I managed to talk him into saying a few words.
Well, I'd be a liar if I told you I'm a man of a few words. But I just want to say thank you to my parents, my teachers over the years, my coaches, everyone that has helped guide me through this process. I want to thank Mayor and Council. Thank you for bringing me out tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Congratulations.
I gotta take them out for coffee.
How are you? How you doing? Okay.
Very nice. Hey, Joe. How did you do that?
Huh?
How did you do that? I saw the smell up there, and I heard your...
That is one of the special moments when you get to recognize somebody in our community who's an all-around great person. And we thank Mark for all of the things that he's done to put Roselle Park on the map, and will continue to do, I'm sure.
Just ran on top of the kids from the thinking pool. You did good.
Potentially. Okay, at this time, what I'd like to do is go around the horn and get the reports of members of council. And we are in the month of March. So I would like to start with the third ward council representative, Councilman Ryan Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. For any of you who attended this past week, they held the second annual East vs. West basketball game. It was an incredible turnout. The gymnasium was at full capacity. It was an amazing event. I feel, as far as benefiting the schools and as far as it did bring the community together a little bit that night. But I'd like to particularly thank Josh Madrano and the Roselle Park Police Department, the community-oriented policing unit, and anyone else involved that made this event a success. At the previous Board of Education meeting, the board approved full-day kindergarten for the 2014-2015 school year. Additionally, the Board of Education public budget hearing will be Tuesday, April 29th at 7 p.m. at the middle school. Also, a special public budget meeting is being held by the Fiscal Affairs Committee of the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders in regards to the county budget. That will be Tuesday, March 25th at 5:30, so next Tuesday. The location will be the Park Madison Building in Plainfield. I'd also like to thank the Streetlight Committee for assisting me with a resident issue. I'm happy to report that the streetlight overlooking the middle school, Robert Gordon Field, is no longer buzzing uncontrollably. It has been an issue in the area for a couple of years. It's been fixed a few times, but it did always seem to come back. But fingers crossed for now, we are good there. And also a short report from the Board of Joint Meeting of Essex, Joint Meeting of Essex and Union County. The Joint Sewer Meeting received a special WAVE Award presented by the Association of Environmental Authorities. The award was the Forward Thinking Award, was presented in regards to the Joint Meetings Operator and Training Program. That is all I have to report for tonight, Mayor.
Next up is our fourth ward council representative, Councilman Gino Alvarasi.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'd like first of all to congratulate Mark Sivrinarada and his recognitions. Congratulations. Number two is I'd like to say happy birthday to Roselle Park, to our residents. Roselle Park is informed in 1901. It's 113 birthdays for Roselle Park. It's going to be a happy party on Saturday from 9 to 12 at the museum. So welcome everyone. I also like to remind everyone that Memorial Day is coming soon. It's going to be in May 26th. It's going to start at Sherman School, and it's going to start at 10 a.m. going forward to Memorial Library, and we're going to have celebration in there at the library. Also on March 17, I met with the Environmental Committee. We discussed to improve our downtown in Roselle Park. I've been talking to a couple of organizations for make Roselle Park go greens, clean communities. So I've been talking to a couple committee and talking to local landscapings and try to have everybody get together and try to improve our downtowns and the library as well. Also too. That's all I have to report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fifth ward council representative Mike Yakubov decided not to come to the meeting this evening. And next up is our council at large, Council President Carl Hokinson.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody happy spring. I thought we'd never get here, but the weather's been with the snow and cold, but happy spring. And as Councilman said, on Saturday we'll be wishing the borough a happy birthday. I still think she looks good for 113 years old. And hopefully she'll look good another 100 years from now. On Saturday, March 8th, I attended the St. Patty's Day dance at the Casano Center. Remarkable turnout, great time, the band was great, the food was great, the atmosphere was great, and it was nice to see everybody being green that day, being happy and being green. So congratulations, Karen, you did a great job as usual. And on Tuesday, March the 11th, I did meet with the police chief and members of his department, the traffic safety unit, along with Lieutenant Jimenez, about the ongoing snow ordinance and towing ordinance. We are working on that. We are looking around at some other towns, some of their things, and we're going to try to get this out. Hopefully, while spring is still here, that to let everybody know that because of this last snowstorms, it really put the residents in danger. As far as some of these streets, these cars that were not moved, we would doubt if we can get a fire truck or an ambulance down some of these streets. So we are working on that. On Wednesday, March the 12th, I'm not going to take away from Councilman Conscience to finance chair, but we did meet the capital budget. As you heard on Friday, March 14th, the East-West game was phenomenal. It was a packed house. It was a good time to see all our police, fire, teachers, and other townspeople out there. It was a very, very well attended. Very nice to see Roselle Park come out. Again, Wednesday, March 19th, I won't take away from Councilman Conscience, the capital budget. I'd just like to report on a couple of upcoming events. This Saturday, March the 22nd, is Concerned Citizens, but I don't have time.
1 to 2:30 p.m.
1 to 2:30.
All are welcome.
Okay, all are welcome. Okay, and of course, I won't take away from Mrs. Pagnetti's thunder, but the happy birthday celebration we'll probably hear in a little while on Saturday also. Monday, March 24th, I have my first annual meet and greet at Costa's Restaurant from 6 to 8. I will be there to hopefully answer anybody's questions, to discuss any upcoming topics. So hopefully we can, that's my first meet and greet. Again, not to take away from Councilman Conscience, next Tuesday, March the 25th, is another budget meeting. Wednesday, right here at Borough Hall, March 26th, Wednesday, March 26th, from 6 to 8. I'm having a trap, neuter, and release workshop here at Borough Hall. I have the professionals coming in. I have some lawyers coming in. So if anybody wants to find out more about the trap, neuter, and release program, or ordinances, or how it's done, it'll be here in this Borough Hall, Wednesday, March 26th, from 6 to 8 p.m. And then the following week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 28th, 29th, and 30th, the high school is having their annual play, Little Shop of Horrors. It's already being, from what I understand, the tickets are going out very quickly. So if you have plans of doing that, I suggest you get your tickets early. And then on April 1st, from 6 to 8 at the brewery on Valley Road, is that Kevin Murphy and I, is the Simplify Fund. It's the banquet for the Wounded Warriors, part of the program for the Marine Corps. And that's on April 1st, right here on Valley Road at the brewery. And my last thing, Mayor, you look good walking in the parade up there in Union, but I'd also like to congratulate the Union County St. Patrick's Day Committee, because they picked a Grand Marshal that is well deserving of the title, and that's Robert Jeans from Kenilworth, New Jersey. I go back with Robert when we were in high school. Bobby's a little older than me. We go back together since high school. I've known Bobby ever since his tours in the service, my tours. He runs the Veterans Hall in Kenilworth, and the Union County St. Patty's Day Committee picked him as Grand Marshal. And I couldn't think of a better guy that deserved it, because I tell you what, Bobby Jeans, he looks after those veterans. So, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to go on over to our first ward council representative, Councilman Andrew Casais.
You heard?
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a busy 2 weeks as the finance chairman, and it's been a busy week for all council. So excuse the one report if I have one. To go back to what Councilman Hogan was talking about, the capital budget, I appreciate all the departments coming in and talking about their requests. We finished up the department request last night. The next budget meeting, capital budget meeting, will be March 25th at 6:30 p.m. The second floor conference room of Borough Hall, hoping to wrap up capital. We need some more information from our engineer. And that should be in on Monday, I believe. So we should be able to get the final numbers. We did deal with a large amount of requests this year, an expensive amount of requests, and we're slowly chipping away at them. I do have one item for closed session. It's going to be potential litigation on Mark Taylor Place. It's a brief for council. The last thing, and the most wandering thing, is what one section of town got, what we all know about up here anyway, is a flyer talking about the proposed revaluation as part of the introduced 2014 municipal budget. I have to say, just as a councilman, finance chairman of the borough, it's shameful to have something like that go out on the street. Something such a horrible lie to tell residents that makes them think they're going to lose their homes. Makes people genuinely upset receiving calls from residents scared that they're going to lose their home because their taxes are going to go up so much because of something that allegedly 2 members of the governing body are going to do. First of all, that can't happen. You need a majority of the governing body to agree to anything. Number 2, to put out that kind of information when we have open public meetings, when we have a majority of council agreeing to the information put out there, when we have professionals who look up the information that we're talking about, when we have meeting after meeting discussing facts and figures of what we're talking about, be it a reval or anything else, it's just shameful to put out something like that. It's inexcusable. And I would be happy to let it go if it seemed like a mistake, if it was a resident who was concerned about what they may have heard, but this was not a mistake. It's evident that it was not a mistake. It was on purpose, and it was done to scare people. I'm going to say it was a politically motivated attack against Mayor Clark, against Councilman Hoganson, for no reason but to stir the pot, let it go, not put your name to total misinformation. There wasn't a line on that flyer that was true. To go through a couple of things, to go through a couple of basic facts so people can understand it. I'll be putting out all this information on my Facebook page. Hopefully we can distribute some of this information as a borough because it is factual. We put a $500,000 cost ceiling for a revaluation in the 2014 municipal budget as introduced. That's a cost ceiling. We don't know how much it will cost because we have to follow local public contracts law, but we've allocated at most, that much money. There's been a concern from residents how this is accounted for. I can tell you 100% that the increase that's proposed in the 2014 municipal budget has nothing to do with that $500,000 figure, and here's why. We've allocated it through revenues. We used $350,000 of sewer fund balance surplus. We used $74,779.50 of sale of asset money, which is another revenue. We used $50,000 of operating surplus, or current fund surplus, and we used $25,220.50 of assessment trust fund money. $0 out of the amount to be raised by taxation is used toward a revaluation as proposed in the 2014 municipal budget. Now, what's the reason we need to do a revaluation? There's a few reasons, but just to give you an idea of what the council is dealing with in terms of actual facts and not the nonsense that you're hearing out there and the misinformation that was in that flyer that you may or may not have received or may or may not have seen. From 2009 to 2013, the breakdown of tax appeals is as follows. In 2009, we received 50 tax appeals. In 2010, we received 60 tax appeals. In 2011, we received 51 tax appeals. Now, it went down a little bit. In 2012, we received 115 tax appeals, doubling from 2000, over doubling from 2011. Then last year, we received 170 tax appeals. Over the lifetime, from 2008, and unfortunately I don't have the amount filed in 2008, but from 2008 to 2013, we have a total loss in revenue of close to $700,000. That $700,000 could have gone into the fund balance, which we could have used to offset any tax increase. For example, in 2013, we lost $198,496 to tax appeals as revenues. That would have accounted for $52.14 per average house. When we're proposing a tax increase of $103.35, that's over half. That would have, if we used that money to offset the tax increase, that would have cut your tax increase in half. And now where are we going with this? I mean, where does this stop? If on average we're spending or we're losing $118,000 in revenue, where are we going? Are we going to say another year we're going to lose maybe $118,000, maybe a little more, maybe a little less? Are we going to wait another decade and multiply that number by 10? It's ridiculous. We're going down a road of fiscal insolvency. And I don't care that every other Union County town has not done it. Because Union County is one of the most delinquent towns when it comes to revals in the state of New Jersey. One of the most delinquent counties. 75% of all of New Jersey's 565 municipalities have done a revaluation in the last 10 years. And if in Union County we have to be the ones who blaze the trail for once and set the pace and make sure that we do things right and we stand up for our residents, then that's what we need to do as a council. And we need to set things the right way. Because right now you have people who are under-assessed, over-assessed, and sometimes people are at the right amount. But based on the figures, that's rare. We need to do something about this, and we need to do it now. And as finance chairman, as a councilman, we need to do a revaluation. And so I just ask members of the public to seek out the truth and don't buy into the lies that are being spread. Thank you, Mayor.
I thank you. I'll make some comments at the end. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I do thank you for bringing that up and making the comments that you did make. I think it might be well served if we repeat something similar to that at the next meeting we come to the office here. And now, please.
Oh, I would just, we can spend the next umpteen hours on this. I have, put it this way, Mayor, I'm honored to have my name with your name. Because when I took this job 6 years ago, I didn't take it for a popularity contest. I didn't take it, oh, it's easy, oh, I'm going to back down from the hard things. You and I, and some of these other council members up here, have sat back. This town is bleeding. It is bleeding. The artery is going to break. We are going to get, it's just going to, it's happening. And we have a certain person that all he wants to do is put a Band-Aid on it for his own self-preservation and his own self-interests. Okay? I'm not a Band-Aid person. It's not easy sitting up here. And if anybody wants out there to come up here, you can sit in my seat and let me ask the question. What are you going to do to solve this problem? I want to put a tourniquet on it. I want to get a surgeon in here. I want to stitch it up that we don't bleed it anymore. So, you're going to be hearing this for the next 8 months because it's a shame that they've already used a fear tactic, a lying tactic. So, all I can sit back and tell you is I live at 318 Hemlock Street. I have a meet and greet. I'll be out there banging on your doors, and I will be telling you the truth. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
And I made a promise promised myself that I wasn't going to use this dais for any type of political purposes, and I'm not. So this will be the first and last time, unless I'm specifically asked a question. But other than that, I just won't do it. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Now I'd like to go to our second ward council representative, Councilwoman Charlene Stewart.
I also will be addressing this matter, but before we get to that, there are a couple of other things. The second year, I found the Union County Means Business Outlook legislative update very valuable. We had Representative Payne, Representative Series, State Senator Lesniak, amongst those speaking, and that gave some of us on the local level some insight into what will be going on in the upcoming year. Infrastructure was a major topic, with the federal transportation program's funding set to expire on October 1st, according to one of our congressmen, and the state funds for road and bridge repairs now non-existent, according to State Senator Lesniak, and a winter where extreme temperature changes, the use of tons and tons of salt, frequent plowing, all resulted in heavily damaged roads. The question is, where is the money going to come from to take care of all these matters? The most common answer seems to be gas tax increases. In New Jersey, the argument is that increasing taxes 4 cents would cost the average New Jersey driver about $100 a year, while it costs $600 to repair vehicles damaged by poor roads and bridges. Now, I don't know, but I do know that this certainly gives us an impetus to work on ways to improve our own infrastructure and to look for different and innovative methods where maybe look at some of the pilot programs that are being done in other areas, see if any of these things will help us out. I certainly urge anyone with a business of any size to look at the UCMB website, which is ucnj.org/business for future events and general information about how the county can help you. Events are either free or very inexpensive. Moving on to the Union County St. Patrick's Day Parade, I want to say what a great job was done by the Roselle Park Panthers Marching Band. I thought that they were just fabulous and really did a lot of credit to the borough. I'd also like to congratulate the winner of the Friends of the Library's 50/50, who, by helping to support the Friends of the Library and the children's programs, also added $670 to his wallet. So it was a win-win for everyone there. I've been helping out Councilman El Marassi and Karen Intile on the plans for the Memorial Day Parade. We are hoping to involve as many businesses in the town as possible. I've spoke to a couple of merchants. Eventually, we'll get to everyone, but we really want to see the whole town involved, and that certainly includes our merchants, and we'd like to have a great turnout overall. On the not so positive side, we are still having problems with the television. Verizon should be fine. Comcast is the problem child here currently. What we will be doing, however, is putting a link to a recording up on a website, which will be Roselle Park TV 34. Now, this will be up on the Comcast site, so you can, see where you go for the link, so that Comcast viewers can go onto their computers and watch the show. Hopefully, this is only a temporary thing we have. It gets more complicated as we go on. It seems endless. Believe me, it seems endless to me. What it is now is that there is another part which is causing us problems, and it is unfortunately a rather dated part, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to replace it. But, it will be done, and it's going to be done soon, and it's Verizon who has to come in on that, so anybody who knows anybody at Verizon, you can encourage them to help us along. Okay, Councilman Casillas mentioned the flyer. I have to be honest and say I have not heard from a lot of people about the flyer. I think that probably because it was distributed more heavily in a different area of town than the second ward, but I have heard some discussion about it. I want to say that just to underscore that there has been nothing secret about the revaluation or how it can be financed. It's been talked about at the budget meeting, at the last council meeting. I personally have brought it up starting March 10th, before this flyer went out. on my Councilwoman Charlene Story Facebook page. I think virtually everybody who sits up here encourages everyone to come to the meetings. Nobody ever says, oh, tries to play it down, or, it's not a secret that we're here. Everybody is very willing to talk to everybody about anything. So to say that it was secret, I think, is the people who wrote this flyer were not trying to educate people about the reval. I believe that they're simply interested in making people afraid so that they can advance their own political agendas and their own careers outside of Roselle Park. I think it's disgusting and cowardly that while mayor and council have been completely open about this reval, the flyer talks about transparency, capitalized and in boldface, and then the authors don't have the backbone to say who they are. If they honestly believe what they put forward in the flyer, why not put your name on it? The bottom line is, as Councilman Casillas explained, is that tax appeals are costing the borough a lot of money. Not only do we have to pay back the money that would have come to us, we have to also reimburse the money that normally goes to the county and to the Board of Education. We can't keep taking those hits. It's just not possible. I think some of the questions that have come up is, why are we doing this if it's not to raise taxes? Well, that's why, because of these tax appeals. It is not designed to create more revenue for the town. Let me repeat that. It is not designed to create more revenue for the town. Roselle Park needs X amount of money to run every year, just like your household does. The question is where it comes from. It needs to be fairly assessed. And I'll tell you something else. When I explain to people that it doesn't, you can have resided your house, you can put up new kitchen cabinets, you can, put in new carpeting, and none of that is going to affect the price, the assessment of your home. What will, if you added, say, another bathroom, it would. And if you had not gotten the permits for that, and you had done it sub rosa only. And I'm amazed at the number of people who will say, oh yeah, I have a neighbor who did that, or I know somebody who did that. Well, these are the people, you're paying their share of the taxes, plain and simple. That's coming out of your pocket. So please, keep that in mind. It just isn't fair to everyone who plays by the rules. The other question I get is, well, only a few towns in the county did their last reval before we did. Why aren't they doing it? Why are we doing it? Well, I don't know why they're not doing it. I don't sit on their councils. But I can guess. I think in part it's because of the kind of misinformation that's often spread for political purposes when a reval is done, like this flyer. I think that in some of those towns, perhaps, there are elected officials who are afraid that the facts will be buried in this kind of propaganda and that they'll be voted out of office while the liars and fearmongers will go on to use their positions as stepping stones to higher office or to protect undervalued investment property, which they own and thus keep their profits coming in. They don't care whether they're doing the right thing for the town. The elected officials in Roselle Park who are backing this, some of whom will have their names before the voters in November, are convinced that this is the right thing to do. We have studied it. I have heard revals discussed by experts at meetings sponsored by the New Jersey League of Municipalities. I've looked up things online. We all have. We were elected to do just that, to learn about the ins and outs of these issues that we must decide on. I can and should do only what the facts tell me to do. I can't play it safe just because I'm running for office. I live here and I pay taxes here. I have no political aspirations beyond Roselle Park. I don't own any property other than my own house on Pershing Avenue, and my husband owns half of that. I have no reason to mislead anyone. So please ask yourself why anyone would put out a flyer that starts off by talking about transparency in all capital letters and boldface type, and then not have the backbone to sign their name. Why do that if they don't have a hidden agenda? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now I'll do my comments. I love Roselle Park. I grew up in Roselle Park. When I joined the Army, I made it a point to come back to Roselle Park. I've served on the Board of Education, I've served as a councilman, and now I serve as mayor. The only reason why I'm up here is because I want to give back to my community. I've never taken an extra dime from this town. I've never sought any special treatment for anything. If I get a parking ticket, I pay it. If I speed, I pay the fine. If I want to do something in my house, I obtain permits. When my house was damaged in the hurricane, I didn't make any issue of it. I allowed everybody else to make any decision that might have an impact on anything in the community that would involve anything dealing with my household. For example, I've been accused of not being the last person to have a tree taken off of my house, something that I had absolutely no involvement in. I specifically stayed out of the decision-making for the order in which trees would be taken off houses. I had absolutely no involvement in any of the decisions about any of the sidewalk repairs because my sidewalk was damaged. I am still suffering financially while we finish the repairs on my house a year and a half later. I say all of that just to point out that there is nothing that I would do to purposely hurt the borough of Roselle Park or the taxpayers of Roselle Park. It's painful. It's obscene to see a flyer with your name mentioned on it as somebody who is trying to do some damage to the borough. Not only am I not trying to do damage, this is something that I've mentioned for the past 4 years. I started talking about it when I was on council, and I've mentioned it every year as part of the budget process. One of the reasons why we're able to do this without having an impact on the taxpayers is because our chief financial officer has been smart enough to figure out where funding is and making sure that it doesn't have an impact. I'm just going to ask one question. By doing a tax reval, how much does this year's budget change? How much does the tax increase for this year change?
0.
The only reason why that's possible is because of the smart moves that the chief financial officer, our budget chair, Councilman Casillas, and the members sitting up here have made. There is one council person that's not sitting up here today, and I really wish that he could hear the anger in my voice as I say these words. That flyer was the absolute most underhanded sack of lies that I have seen any person have to go through sitting up here on the dais. There have been a whole bunch of other flyers for political purposes that have been problematic, but that one was intended to instill fear. It's a sack full of lies. I'm sure that the members that are sitting up here will consider it, and I'm sure that most of them will do the right thing. All I know is at the end of the day, whether I'm reelected or not, I can rest comfortably knowing that I've done the right thing. I can rest comfortably, lay my head on the pillow, and sleep well, because I've never done the wrong thing for Roselle Park. People may disagree with the outcomes, but I can tell you that in my heart of hearts, everything that I've ever done, I've been sitting up on the dais, and before I got on the dais, and everything that I do once I get off the dais, will be for the benefit of Roselle Park. That concludes my comments for this evening. At this time, I'd like to call up Ms. Karen Intel.
Good evening, everybody. I hope I can lighten up the mood a little bit.
I hope so too. Much nicer.
Bring the green back. Bring the green back.
Before you even get started, the St. Patrick's Day party, again, was a great success. I walked in there, everybody was cheerful, having a good time, and it's always nice to see that. And you and all the volunteers that you have at the Casino Center really did a nice job. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and everybody had a good time. My help was spectacular, and we all did have a very good time. We had about 50 people there, so it was a very good turnout. I was happy. I think everybody was pretty happy with it. So thank you, everybody. I have some kind of good news, but before I get to the good news, I'll just do my regular stuff. I want to keep thanking all the organizations that give us our food donations and our monetary donations for our food pantry. And now we're revving up for the new holiday food basket season for the spring holidays. So any residents out there that want to stop by and give us some food, we're going to do our baskets like we do at the winter season. So it's that time of year again. Arbor Day is falling on Friday, April 25th, and every year we celebrate at a different school, and we give a different school a tree. This year it's the high school, and Sarah Costa has been in contact with me and the DPW. She's going to choose what kind of tree she wants, and we're ordering the little seedlings so that we can give them out at the ceremony. It'll be early in the morning, but I haven't pinpointed the time yet with Mrs. Costa. I did speak with New Jersey Transit about our possible new bus for the senior citizens coming, and if we get it by the end of this year, we're lucky. They still haven't gone out for bid, and so that's where that stands right now.
Keep using the duct tape on the old.
That's, I got that right. Now, some, I think, good news. The Memorial Day has become a bigger and better event. Not only are we going to have the parade that Councilman El Musari had mentioned and is helping work with me, and Councilwoman Charlene Story. I think it's great that all the merchants are going to get involved. I think we should have a town-wide Memorial Day sale. They can put their stuff out on the streets if possible. I think it's going to be great. But on top of that, the Casano Center, right after the parade and the service at the Veterans Memorial Library, we're going to have this massive picnic at the center. We're going to have a live band. We're going to have free food, and maybe with some help from a couple organizations in town, including possibly the SID, you maybe have some good surprises for the kids. So once I get that confirmed, I can give you further information. I'm hoping the Rotary Club gets involved, the Knights of Columbus, the Girl Scouts are on board, the Boy Scouts, Reverend Manny from the Methodist Church, and Father Jim from Church of the Assumption. I'm getting everybody I can, so it should be a wonderful, spectacular parade, and we'll see what else happens. So that should be a real good day. So everybody look forward to May 26th. That's going to be a happy day. No problems. Cruise and Night Car Show. 2 of them. One Saturday, June 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. and one Saturday, September 13th from 4 to 7, with rain dates being the following Saturdays. That's when we have our car show out on Chestnut Street. The street is closed from Charles to Grant. So that should be a good day. The July fireworks program, I'm sure everybody will be happy to hear that it's scheduled to be on the Thursday before, which is July 3rd. That gives everybody a real nice long holiday weekend. If they were planning on going away, they can go away because they can come see our fireworks on the Thursday night, the 3rd. So that's what that plan is. Leona is not feeling well. She wanted to be here tonight, but she's sick. So she asked me to please mention the gallery, which is doing a fantastic job. Denise Wood has a lot of talent, and she has all the old movie stars, TV stars. She has portraits of them, and her reception is going to be next Wednesday night at the Casano Center, March 26th from 6:30 to 8. So if you want to come meet her and really admire her work, give her a cheer, come next Wednesday night. Again, St. Patrick's Day was wonderful. I thank everybody. The DeNova School of Irish Dancers also came and gave an Irish dance demonstration. And of course, Joe Caroselli and Danny Lawrence with the music, and they were wonderful. It was just a good time had by all. And Hunterton Hills Playhouse is the trip that the seniors have decided to take when the center gets a free bus from the borough, and we thank the borough for giving that to us this year again. So we're going to Hunterton Hills to see Breaking Legs, and there's $52 per person, and that includes the lunch and the dinner, the show, and we don't have to worry about the cost of the bus. And that's my report, unless you have any questions or comments.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Sintel? Thank you very much, as always.
Thank you.
Now go around the horn. We'll go to our legal counsel, Mr. Richard Huxford.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Legal front's been somewhat quiet. I did have a chance to meet with Ms. Pagnetti and the Roselle Park Historical Society. We did get them reincorporated. That's something that they were anxious to get done, and we were able to accomplish that last Wednesday. I do have 3 small items for closed session. Ongoing litigation, Selecki versus Borough of Roselle Park. ongoing litigation equipment rental service for Borough Roselle Park, and the sale of borough property.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Next up is our Borough Clerk, Mr. Doreen Kelly.
Yes, Mayor, I just want to announce that the borough-wide garage sale will be held on June 21st, 2014, with a rain date of June 22nd. There's a link on the borough webpage to download the registration form. We're requesting that you register by June 13th in order for us to prepare the maps. Also, maybe I could put a link on the borough webpage for the TV 34, so they could just go to our webpage and hit the link to see Comcast viewing. If you just give me the link, I can do that tomorrow. Also, I'll have 2 items for close: contract negotiations with Domus Corporation regarding senior housing, and contract negotiations for clerical agreement. That's it, Mayor.
Mayor, I can just ask, Madam Clerk, the borough-wide sale is the week before the proposed vote day that we'll be voting on?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And next up is our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ken White.
Thank you, Mayor. As was mentioned, our next budget meeting for capital will be on Tuesday, March the 25th at 6:30 p.m. in the upstairs conference room. As also was just mentioned, the bulk waste is on tonight's agenda. It's resolution number 74. So if that is awarded, it will be for June 26th and June 27th, after the garage sale, as we've normally done it. Further information will be put out on that. The flyer saying what is allowed, what isn't allowed, and the dates, and saying which is the east side, which is the west side will be in there.
Thank you very much.
And also our vegetative waste contract is going to be hopefully awarded tonight, starting for the month of April.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to accept the reports of department?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve the reports of the department.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The reports of departments are hereby accepted. I hear a motion to go into public comment portion.
Mayor, seeing time, I would like to make a motion to open the meeting up to the public portion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public comment portion is hereby open. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward. State your name and address and just tell us what's on your mind.
Short people. Not the high chair.
Oh, you put the high
Yeah,
chair.
one under your legs. Good evening. I'm here again to speak about the newly revised trash mover and release program. Before I
Ma'am, I
start,
apologize, I just have to give your name and address.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm still nervous. Carol Lang's 289 West Webster Avenue. And although our councilman Mike isn't here, I would like to thank him for his help during Sandy and the pothole repairs on West Webster. So, in all fairness to parties involved with the TR, I believe both sides of the issue should be discussed before final approval is rendered. Has the resident or residents who support TNR spoken before the council? Perhaps if they did, I missed that meeting. However, to date, we have heard nothing from them.
Are these the residents truly concerned, dedicated volunteer caregivers? Why are they not here to speak to the council in support of the TNR ordinance? If they can't show up here, how are the residents to believe they will maintain a feral cat colony? One of my main concerns, and I didn't get to read fully the revised TNR, so I'll address that, I guess, at the next meeting. Be vaccinated, I want to guarantee they're vaccinated for the rabies. Most of us know children play and handle stray animals such as cats. These children may be bitten or scratched by a rabid cat. We all know kids will be kids and probably not mention this to their parents. These bites or scratches might be from an infected cat, and ultimately the child will die of rabies. It's my opinion human life is more precious than any animal, including cats. And yes, I still love animals. If the council passes TNR, it will give a negative message to the residents that cats are more important than human life. Is this the message Mayor and Council wants to send its residents? I sincerely hope not. Also, the passing of TNR will have a negative economic impact on real estate in Roselle Park, since articles indicate lower property values where feral cat colonies are present. Are Mayor and Council aware of New Jersey State Department Health's recommendations for feral cat colonies? It includes the licensing with mandatory rabies vaccinations of feral cats. This is further addressed by state law, I believe under wildlife. I'm not sure how the passing of this type of ordinance works. Does Roselle Park's legal counsel review one such as TNR before it's passed? And even if passed, I would still have serious issues with it and would not want a colony on my street. I do have information obtained over the internet. The first article is from California Department of Fish and Wildlife, titled, "Should Feral Cats Be Euthanized?" The second discusses items such as feral and stray cats that wreak havoc on the global ecosystem. Would council like a copy of these two articles? Which I have. Does the council still think that TNR is a responsible thing to do in Roselle Park? Seriously, there are more important pressing issues facing Roselle Park's future. I understand an updated TNR ordinance will be presented, and I have it here tonight, after the public session. Will I then have the opportunity to address Mayor and Council again before it's passed? Or will TNR be passed without any further discussion from the public? Again, I thank the Mayor and Council for your time.
Thank you very much. I will defer to Councilman Hokinson, who again has been spearheading the effort on the TNR resolution, TNR ordinance resolution, because he's trying to get all sides, and it's not just two sides, there are different factions within the sides. He's trying to organize things. I'm going to prefer to answer that way he can address your question.
First of all, the reason why these people, as you say, are not here is the fact that it's only an introduction. They will be here. They will be coming back. I get phone calls every day from all over the country, for and against, okay? There's out of the 21 municipalities, or 21 counties in the state of New Jersey, 19 of them have trap, neuter, release ordinances, okay? That's why I don't, that's why I have gone out to bring in the professionals, both for and against. That's the reason why I'm having this workshop. And I'm not only having one, I'm having two. I'm having one on a Wednesday night, in case the people work. I'm having another one on the weekend down the road, which I will
And
advertise.
that'll all take place prior to any passage?
Oh, yes, this is
Okay.
just, I worked with the borough clerk to, we pulled the other one, we're introducing this, okay? We're just introducing it, okay? To the fact that now, I've worked with my borough clerk to hold off to put it down the road, which is probably about another month, for the second reading, because I want to put out the information. I have, somebody dropped off a flyer from 2006 about the negatives of TNR. There's two sides to every story.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, again, I will state the fact that there is a problem out there, and we are trying to address it the best way we can. So, and yes, you have every right to come back at every council meeting and discuss anything, TNR, taxes, revow. You have every right, and we go back, and it's nice to agree, and it's nice to disagree.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I promise you that we will, it's only an introduction, and then after that, we will have the workshop, which is next week, and then I have another workshop scheduled for the weekend in case people can't make the night, or, you know, I'm trying to be flexible for everybody. And then, after that, then council will make the decision on the second reading to either yes, pass it or not pass it. So there will be plenty of input from everybody. And I have, I gotta say this, it's the budget meetings that we've had 4 people show up in meetings. And please don't take this offense to 2 of the gentlemen that are here, but they were 2 of the gentlemen that come to every meeting, so I don't really count them. But we've had 4 people show up for a budget for almost close to what, $16 million? 4 people. TNR? TNR? I'm sorry. TNR, I've had 50 to 100. So, yes, there'll be plenty of time. We will be working, and you will be have ample time to come back and talk to council and everybody else, I promise. I'll take whatever you have, if that's okay.
I also included, and I didn't have time to put it in my
Well, if you want to
presentation.
hold off and
No.
give it to me at a later date,
No,
I'll take it.
it's the one from the
Oh, I'm
state.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm done.
I'm sorry. There it is. Where'd you go? Okay. Oh, look at this, and it's green, too.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what time you want. Nobody represents Roselle Park's birthday better than our borough historian, Ms. Pagnani.
Thank you. Pat Pignetti, 309 East Grant Avenue, Roselle Park Historical Society President, and I direct the museum. By the time this meeting is aired next week, the Historical Society part of our celebration will be over. Roselle Park Day is Saturday, March 22nd, to be hosted at the Roselle Park Museum from 9 to 12 with free Dunkin' Donuts and coffee and pinhole cookies, thanks to Carl, who went out there and got the pinhole cookies arranged. And the borough is 113 years old now, and as Carl said before, and I thought it was pretty well put, it looks pretty good for its age. So come to the museum on March 22nd, and if it has been passed by the time you're hearing this, you can visit any Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're still celebrating. So I hope you're all there.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much for letting me say this.
Anyone else who's going to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what time you want.
Kevin Murphy, 115 Persian Avenue in Roselle Park. As president of the Rotary Club of Roselle Park, I just want to bring up a couple of things that may be of interest, and as well as for the town. Next Thursday, the Roselle Park Rotary's Interact Club, which is out of the high school, will be having their spaghetti dinner. The proceeds of the dinner, is dedicated or be earmarked for the Roselle Park First Aid Squad. Saturday that follows, the club itself will have its annual spaghetti dinner at the Community Methodist Church. The proceeds of that is going to go back to various charities. One that has been picked has also been the Roselle Park First Aid Squad because they asked to purchase 4 pieces of equipment, and the board of directors have agreed to earmark money for them for the 4 pieces of equipment. On Tuesday, April 22nd, we're going to have a dinner over at Vintage Restaurant to make people aware of adult literacy. The program costs approximately $1,800. We received a grant, and the deal is if we can match it. So we decided to hold the dinner at the restaurant, open to the public, and we can hopefully match the money that was given to us for the grant, and that will be going towards the adult literacy project. And then take one hat off and put the other hat on as the Chief Executive Officer for the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Just want to make everybody aware of the fact that on April 1st, Climax Brewery, who's the host, we're having a fundraiser which is dedicated for the Marine Simplify Fund. Simplify Fund, over the last 13 years, have been active in taking care of our wounded warriors of all branches of service. Unfortunately, they do not get the publicity that the Wounded Warriors Project gets. So last year, the Roselle Park First Aid Squad donated $500 to them. Our goal is to raise at least $1,000 that night and send it to the Warriors Fund. We are expecting the Union County bagpipers, drums and bagpipers, pipes and drums to be that night, so it should be a good time. The cost is very reasonable, and I want to thank all those that have been in touch with me for their support on this, including the Roselle Park DBA. Contacted me today, and we're looking forward in doing something good for our service men and women. Thank you.
Could I just ask
Thank you very
a quick question? If you want to donate to the Simplify Fund, you can make a check payable to the Simplify Fund.
You can make a check payable to Simplify Fund. If you go on the website, it gives you the address where you can mail your check to directly.
Okay.
Or you can go to, it might be marinesimplifyfund.org, and you get the information from there.
Right, and I'll take it, some of
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us the side one.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening. Mr. Mayor and members of council, you're all invited to the Concerned Citizens Meeting on Saturday, March 22nd, from 1 to 2:30 p.m. We will have a representative from Congressman Payne's office, Congressman Donald Payne's Jr.'s office, discussing business, etc., in Roselle Park. To the chair.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, the last meeting you had said that we were on public property with the drilling behind West Webster Gardens. Well, they had to go through West Webster Gardens, private property, to get onto our property. To the chair, Councilman Ryan. Thank you, Councilman Ryan. Kelly.
Yes.
I have it written here. And for participating in a basketball game, I think you made about 32 points. And to the many participants, council people, police department, volunteer fire department, volunteer first aid squad, school principals, teachers, referees, coaches, scorekeeper, and the champion park cheer, first, second, and third place national champions. The girls were great. To the chair, the councilwoman's story. Instead of guest tax, why don't they change it to the terminology, use user fee? So you're not having to tax guest tax. TV to the chair. TV 34 for a long time has malfunctioned, and people have been frustrated and stopped watching and missed out on the discussion of revow. The concerned citizens of Roselle Park has videotaped all the council meetings, Board of Ed, Municipal Land Use Board, library, budget meetings. And to the chair. I wrote this down today at 5 p.m. Ethics training. Oprah, OPMA, the prosecutor's office should be contacted. The prosecutor's office is state controlled. They will do it for free. Salem County Prosecutor John Lenahan has done this in Salem County. Number 2, property revow. We should bring in and have a town-wide meeting with a certified appraiser, a professional, state qualified. To the chair for a borough attorney. Resolution 7214. Can you explain what the settlement is? That's all I think I have. Yep.
I think there were 2 questions in there. The first one, you asked Councilwoman Story, gas tax versus user fee.
I really have no idea of what the legalities are and what you can call a tax, but I don't know that you can call it a user fee if it's, added on to when you fill your gas tank.
Thank you. And next up, our legal counsel, Mr. Huxford, 72-14, settlement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Majority, 7214 deals with the settlement with regards to Ms. Selecki versus Borough of Roselle Park. Unfortunately, litigation is still going. Parties haven't signed it. The settlement is still outstanding. Once the matter is formally settled, filed with the courts, I can make that known to yourself and the public. I certainly will once that's done. That should wrap up, knock on wood, by the next meeting, and I can advise you accordingly.
Occidental, what happened with that?
Next question you have, I can gladly tell you that the settlement agreement is still out there. It's not been formally accepted by the court yet. The borough and the members of council and the governing body and the mayor are anxious, as you are, to get these matters resolved, be done with them. And as soon as we're done with them, as soon as they're signed, sealed, and reported to the court, I'll be glad to go over with the public and yourself, each and every one.
Thank you.
And Council President Hoganson is chomping at the bit.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, I'm glad that you do have the meetings that are recorded, because this way here the people can actually see when matters were discussed when they originally said yes. And as you know, this council has already been thinking and working on getting a public portion on the revow here. It was discussed at the meetings. The problem is, and I don't want to step on Mr. Blum's toes because he can clarify a little bit more, once we have the person who will do it, am I correct, sir?
Once we accept it.
In other words, some of us, have already sat down as a council to do that. Just like I'm doing with the TNR. The transparency to get it out there. Our financial,
It's stuck.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, it's just
No.
stuck.
Us, majority of us, have already discussed that, and it's in the works. It's going to be out there. It's going to be here. It's going to be here. And we will give you the date in plenty of time. But it's been discussed, and I think it's on your tapes.
But
So,
could I just add to that? Not some of us, all of us said this, that if we were going to move forward with the revaluation, we would have public meetings, public hearings, where we would have the company here explaining to the public what's going to happen. We're going to pass out plenty of borough-sanctioned literature about it, but we need to move forward with adopting the budget to start that process. We have no problem giving the information about it. We have been giving the information about it. But to do it in a way where you call everyone here to do it, and on a one night and say, listen, they're going to be here, and they're going to do a presentation for, say, it's an hour, and then there'll be questions from the public. We've said that. Before this latest round of misinformation went out, we said it.
Did you say that a council meeting?
Mr. Majority, time is there.
Yes, we've said it.
Thank you for your explanation. Being that TV 34 was malfunctioning for such a long time.
Mr. Major, I hate to interrupt you, your time has expired.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening.
Saul Kirsten, 150 Berwyn Street. Just a question regarding the resolution 7914. In the agenda, it talks of the purchase, but in the actual resolution, it talks of the sale. So I presume it's in the sale. Well, is it purchase or not? Buy it?
Purchased by someone else, sale by us.
Look here.
I don't.
No, but it says for the, okay, but it just to clarify, it's for, the borough will be selling that property. Okay. Michael Yacob, that's the person that I believe wrote that letter. He never denied it, and he actually stated that he agreed with everything on it. I don't know if there's nothing that legally precludes anyone from here from saying that, but I'll say that. At the very least, if he didn't write it, he publicly stated that he agreed with it and they would be happy to distribute something like that. That stated, Councilman Casares, you were wrong. There was some things that were right on that flyer. Their phone numbers, or actually the mayor's phone number, who was the only person who didn't get an email address. Everyone else's emails were correct.
By the way, I suspect it was done purposely because I did get phone calls.
this is what bothers me about that, regardless of if any of you did it. At all times, I believe, you must serve the people, and I believe that you do. To write something like that, and to have to defend gross lies. Because when you start a discussion or an argument with someone, and they base that as fact, I just realized, because I did that with someone, and I realized I'm wasting my time because they refer back to this as the fact. And it's useless. It's like saying today's Saturday, and I go, no, it's Thursday. And they go, but on this paper it says it's Saturday. So it goes nowhere. The other thing that bothers me is that there was, and too bad that Councilman Epicloff isn't here. That's his problem, not mine, and I'll be more than happy to discuss with him in person, any place at any time. One of the things that he did state, is that he keeps referring to having a referendum. And I wanted to ask him about that, but I will just propose what I found and let people and council and everyone else understand this issue. He was stating that it's going to cost, I know it may cost money, but we really should put it up for a referendum. There's two things with that. It actually doesn't cost money because it's part of your election. It comes up during an election if you have enough petitions and everything is signed. And the other thing is, unless we are a Faulkner Act borough, it is a non-binding referendum. It's a non-binding referendum, which means if 100% of the people said, we want this, council, for whatever reason, because they feel it's the like Councilman Casillas said, the better good, can legally go ahead and continue with whatever it is they wanted, or whatever it is they chose. So to give just that insinuation that a referendum will make the people's voice be heard, as opposed to coming here, like people did today, like people have done before, like people have always done when they're angry, is disgusting for the sake of, and I'll say it, he wants the center seat on that dais, and that's why he did this. And that's just disgusting to me. I don't understand that. I love Roselle Park. It's a great town, I'm sure you all know that, but it's Roselle Park. It's a square mile town. We know each other. But to say something like that, and that's very important to understand, and if he proposed such a suggestion, and to go have the county spend money and all that, to have a referendum which is non-binding, which is no different than having a town hall style meeting, than having special meetings, than having every single suggestion that was made by various members of council and the mayor to have public input. And then to put out a flyer to basically to accuse the governing body of not doing the very thing that on February 25th, which is recorded and documented,
Thank you, sir.
were suggested by Councilwoman Story, by Councilman Casillas, by Councilman Kelly, by Councilman Omarasi, by Councilman Hoganson, by Councilman Yakupov, and by the mayor, to have outreach programs. There was a 20-minute, about 10, 15-minute discussion about, should we do flyers, should we do some sort of program, should we do some outreach, should we go through the pay? I mean, it was a long discussion. And people's trust of those budget meetings, I call it apathy. People may call it the trust of those budget meetings, that things will be done. To use the fact that no one knew that happened, and then to put something out like that is just disgusting. I'm sorry, I don't usually do this, but I state here that I would be more than happy to discuss it with the councilman, wherever he wants to, in whatever form he wants to, and to answer people, because if he agrees with what that said, and he's transparent, I had asked him, because he stated he knew who delivered some of those flyers. If he believes in everything in that flyer, and one of those things is about transparency, then he should tell people who wrote that, or who distributed it. And he should answer these questions. He should answer these questions. If his belief is that he is to be transparent, and that no one else here is, and he's the beacon of transparency, then these questions need to be answered. I hold those questions open. If he wants to call me, if he wants to come to my house, if he wants to meet me anywhere, if he wants to continue, and the next time he's at this meeting, I would be more than happy to do that. So that's it. The ordinances, 2401. know that there will be a public hearing, but I just want to ask beforehand. I've repeatedly come before council, the governing body, to ask regarding the restrictions on free speech with political signs, religious signs. Is that going to be addressed in this? Or is this just for what was discussed, the businesses along Westfield Avenue? My apologies, I'll come back at the public hearing.
Do you want me to answer that? The answer is no, it doesn't address that. That is actually in a different section.
I'd like to address a couple of the comments that were just made. First of all, I brought up a previous flyer that Councilman Yakubov had put out, where he indicated that some people's taxes would double and other people's taxes would triple if we did a revaluation. That's a flyer that was put out in the larger area than this particular flyer. He called me a liar when I said that. But we'll provide that flyer when the time comes. With regard to this particular flyer, something that has flown under the radar is that he's pushing for a referendum. There are certain items that are not only not subject to referendum, but cannot be put on a referendum. Among them are budget matters for the borough, matters which would permanently tie the hands of the governing body, matters over which the governing body has no control. So while there are a whole bunch of other really untruthful comments in there, the comment about a referendum, it turns out, is probably not feasible under the laws of the state of New Jersey. So I just hope that whoever put the flyer out steps up. I don't like to mention names without the person being present, but next time Councilman Yakubov is here, I'll certainly have to talk with him about the flyer. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Mayor, seeing no one, I would like to make the motion to close the public portion.
I can hear you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public comment portion is hereby closed. Council President, do I hear a motion and a second with regard to the minutes?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that the minutes be approved upon any corrections.
That's the March 6, 2014 minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are hereby approved. Council President, do I hear a motion with regard to bills and payrolls?
Yes, Mayor, bills and payrolls to not read and motion of bills and payrolls to be passed for payment. I would like to make that motion and not to be read and passed for payment.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hokinson?
Yes.
Councilman Casais?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman Alvarez?
Yes.
5 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bills and payrolls are hereby passed. Now, we have 3 ordinances for second reading this evening. What I'd like to do is ask the clerk to read each one by title individually as we get to it. Then we'll go into the public comment portion and then the public hearing portion for the ordinance. And then we will vote on each ordinance individually. So we'll begin with ordinance 2400. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 2400 is an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Section 3013 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park entitled Awnings, which removes except the residential zone out of the ordinance.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to go to the public hearing portion for ordinance 2400?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2400, 2400, be opened.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing portion for ordinance 2400 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Saul Kearson, 150 Berwyn Street. I'm sorry. Could the clerk repeat the last section regarding residential? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
The only change is in section A of the ordinance, removed from the wording is except residential zones, so they'll make it townwide.
So it's all zones throughout the town. And, okay. I just wanted to make sure that was the change. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name, address, tell us what's on mind.
Mayor, seeing no one, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2400, AKA 2400.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing portion is closed on ordinance 2400. Do I hear a motion on ordinance 2400?
I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2400, 2400 be adopted on second reading and advertised as prescribed by the law.
Second.
Any questions or comments on ordinance 2400?
Mayor, I believe this was sent to the municipal board for their comment. I believe they unanimously recommended approval.
They did.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hokinson?
Yes.
Councilman Sias?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story? Yes. Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman Omarasi?
Yes.
5 votes in affirmative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2400 is hereby approved. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2401 by title.
Is an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Section 3002 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park entitled Signs.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2402, 2402 be open.
2401.
Oh, okay. One.
So the amended motion is ordinance 2401.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind with regard to ordinance 2401 and ordinance 2401 over.
Could I just mention to council real quick before the first person speaks? We had a little bit of a, I don't even know what you would say. You could see the track changes version that you should have a handout, and the public was also afforded handouts, I believe. And it shows you what's underlined is added, what is struck out is no longer in the ordinance. Does the public have that?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so we're all on the same page.
Which page? You stole
Saul Kearson, 150 Berwyn Street. You're correct. One was provided for public. It's not the one in the agenda, but it has been provided.
Yes.
And it will be,
Don't look at the agenda.
it will be published. I guess my question is, the first one is, this ordinance is directly tied with the previous ordinance, because the wording in both have to do with the awnings.
Yes, actually, it's just the way I sent them to the clerk's office. I sent the awning one first, when in reality, it should be reversed, because if we don't pass this one, we need to reconsider the one before.
Okay. And just to make sure, there's greater sign area for different businesses.
Correct.
Mainly in Westfield Avenue, correct?
That's the majority of what this ordinance does. It gives a little more leeway to businesses that border Westfield Avenue. Yeah.
And I guess this correlates with studies of speeding of vehicles, not seeing little signs.
And also the location of the signs. Westfield Avenue has buildings that are contiguous, so
When when Mr. Buccino and myself spoke to the land use board about this ordinance when they were considering it, I just made the simple comparison that they all seem to understand that there's similar zones on Chestnut Street and on Westfield Avenue in some cases. The needs, a business on Chestnut Street in a zone where cars are not going excess of 25 miles an hour, maybe even 30 miles an hour, require different things than on Westfield Avenue where cars may be going anywhere from 45, 50.
Not legally.
We all know. But there's different, they need different things to be successful. And that's what this ordinance hopefully.
And it just right, it allows them to attract more of eye catch, I guess, because of so this doesn't, though that portion of that only applies to that area, doesn't apply to the entire, all business districts, or does it?
It will, in a lot of the instances where we've made changes, it will specifically say, businesses facing the Westfield Avenue corridor, abutting the Westfield Avenue corridor. So it's pretty evident which businesses they apply to. We tried to choose wording so that if it ever came down to some kind of code enforcement issue, there would be no mistaking what business we're talking about.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us what's on your mind.
Jacob McGarrett, 6 Bow Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Item number 14. Freestanding banner shall be no greater than 1 foot wide and 8 feet tall. Is that a plastic or cloth or solid wood? Solid plastic.
Whatever they make the sign out of, as long as it's classified as a freestanding banner.
Excuse me?
As long as it's classified as a freestanding banner, it doesn't matter if it's wood or plastic. If it meets the requirements of all the other things, then it's a freestanding banner.
Some of the cloth and loose plastic break off and causes problems. And number 2, billboard sign in excess of 24 square feet. How do you measure the 24 square feet? What is the 24 square feet?
Length times width.
Length of the sign by width of the sign.
So is it 3 by 3?
No, 3 by 3.
24 square feet is length by width, so it could be 3 by 8, it could be
Any number of combinations
Four-
to get you to that.
4.5 by.
Any number is the largest 24.
Qualified, somebody may receive a summons and say he didn't understand it.
Oh, no. We'll
And,
make sure they understand.
well, you're gonna give this out to all the business people?
Actually, I think that's a great idea.
I think so.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, somebody.
I know somebody just recently opened up a business in town, and one of the things they gave her when she went up to the construction office was a copy of the ordinances that apply. So I don't know whether that's routine or not, but certainly recently I know that happened.
You have a piece of that business, don't you?
I'd rather not discuss my personal issues on the day.
Oh, you do.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right. Just want to make sure how it's going to work out. As long as it's 24 square feet, no matter how it is, triangle, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Sayas, I just note that subsection F, paragraph 5, talks about signs becomes a lot of data. So it's already in there that Mr. Matera is concerned about a sign on the park. So it does have in there, and you Inspector Pagino plugged in there, so that's that situation that Mr. Matera is concerned about. Would be against.
General sign regulations.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us what's on your mind.
Which one?
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to make
Thursday
a
or
motion
Saturday?
to close the public hearing.
We have spaghetti every day.
401-2401.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Public hearing portion of 2401 is hereby closed. Do I have a motion with regard to ordinance 2401?
I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2401 be adopted on the second reading as advertised and prescribed by law.
Second.
This is Thursday, that's right.
Any questions or comments on ordinance 2401?
Mayor, just for that, I believe likewise the last ordinance, the municipal land use board did have a chance to review this and approve it now, so.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Wilkinson?
Yes.
Councilman Casayas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story? Yes. Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman Omarati?
Yes.
Ayes
Trying to
have it.
read that.
Madam Clerk, ordinance 2401 is hereby approved. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2402 by title.
Is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank for calendar year 2014.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2402 be open.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing portion of ordinance 2402 is hereby open. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us what's on your mind with regard to ordinance 2402 and with regard to ordinance 2402 only.
Saul Pearson, 150 Berlin Street. I believe this is the annual ordinance that needs to, by law, need to. I'm just asking for clarification in paragraph 4, it's the top of the page. The 3% increase amounting to $356,890.33 in excess of the increase in final appropriations. Could you just explain that again, because I always get that confused.
What that is the cost of living adjustment for this year was 0.5%. This ordinance allows us to bring it up to 3.5%. That $356,890.33 is the difference between 3.5% and 0.5%. This is on the appropriation cap side, okay? Just for terms of clarification, we would be under the appropriation cap by $42,895.48 at that 0.5% cost of living. What this ordinance does, and this cap banking used to be automatic. They changed the rules.
Correct.
We need to do this every year now to put this banking. Now with the banking, we would be under cap by $399,785.81. That cap can now be pushed forward into the next 2 years' budget if needed to help protect the health, safety, and welfare of residents without having to, say, lay off a police officer or cut services at DPW if we came up to that limit. But we've always been under that limit, and this just gives you availability if the year is tighter to have a little leeway in that section.
So is it a line
Ultimately,
item?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's not a line item.
Okay.
It refers to in the budget the total amount inside caps, which is your main operating expenses.
So,
but
is it referred to in the operating budget?
Let me just try and clarify a little bit. This was the first cap that was in place. Now the 2% tax levy cap is in place.
Okay.
Okay. So that cap usually supersedes this cap with the new law. So you're usually under this to be able to be within that 2%.
So this allows you.
This allows you.
And like you had said, in case of, I'm sorry, I have to go. I have a GOP. We'll talk about that at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us what's on your mind.
They should at least get that money back, I think.
Mayor. I would like to make a motion to close the public portion on ordinance 2402, 2402.
Motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2402. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing on ordinance 2402 is hereby closed. I have a motion and a second.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2402 be adopted on second reading and advertised as prescribed by law.
Second.
Any questions or comments on 2402?
I just want to make sure that we're clear on this and just with the CFO. We are not raising this money. I think that should be clarified for everyone to understand. This is not money that we are raising as part of the budget. This affords us the opportunity in the event we have a situation where we need it. But this is a hypothetical type situation that allows us to do that in the event we need to.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hutchinson.
Yes.
Councilman Sias.
Yes.
Councilman Story. Yes. Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Omarasi.
Yes.
5 to 2 affirmative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. 2402 is hereby closed. Madam Clerk, can you please read ordinance 2403 by title?
Is an ordinance permitting the managed care of feral cats in the borough of Roselle Park.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2403 be adopted on its first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and a public hearing on March,
May 1st, it should be.
well, I'm sorry, okay, on May 20th, 2000.
Yeah, wait, that's the budget hearing, so we need to do a different date. Hold on. Let's do May 15th.
Hold on one second. Okay, yeah, because the 12th is the second workshop.
Yeah.
On May 15th?
Yes, sir.
You got to be 20 feet away from the building.
Okay, just to repeat, Mayor, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2403 be adopted on its first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and public hearing on May the 15th, 2014.
Questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hutchinson.
Yes.
Councilman Sias.
Yes.
Councilman Story. Yes. Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Omarasi.
Yes.
5 to 2 affirmative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we're ready to move into our consent agenda items. Madam Clerk, if you could please read resolution 70-14 through 80-14.
Resolution 7014 is authorizing the treasurer to issue a check in the amount of $620.30 for an overpayment on block 311, lot 19-02. 7114, authorizing the tax collector to issue a reduction and refund for an appeal on block 1114, lot 6, as per the state tax court of New Jersey. 7214, authorizing the mayor to sign the settlement agreement in the matter of Slippy versus Roselle Park. 7314, authorizing the borough clerk to auction unclaimed police vehicles. 7414, awarding a contract to Suburban Disposal Inc. for bulk waste collection service in the amount of $18,000. 7514, awarding a contract to D&M Fireworks LLC in the amount of $10,000 for the 3rd of July fireworks. 7614, authorizing the treasurer to issue multiple checks in the amount of $5,668.79 payable to multiple lien holders for redemption of tax sale certificates and checks for $6,900 from the tax collector's premium account. 7714 is appropriation reserve transfer resolution. 7814 is amendment to the temporary budget. 7914 is authorizing the borough attorney to prepare an agreement for the purchase of block 111, lot 3, 609 Willow Avenue. And 8014 is authorizing a contract for vegetative waste collection for 1 year to Suburban Disposal.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All these matters are considered to be routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a member of council request that it be removed, in which case the item will be placed on the consent agenda and considered in its, removed from the consent agenda and be considered in its normal sequence. Does anybody wish to remove any of these items from the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor, 80-14.
Anything else? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. I'm sorry, did I get a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolutions on the consent agenda 70-14 all the way down to 79-14.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Sias.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story. Yes. Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Omarasi.
Yes.
5 votes in affirmative, Mayor.
Madam Clerk, resolution 70, 14, 71, 14, 72, 14, 73, 14, 74, 14, 75, 14, 76, 14, 77, 14, 78, 14, 79, 14, hereby approved. Councilman Size, would you like to move 80-14?
Yes, Mayor, 80-14.
Okay, second.
Second.
Questions or comments?
My question, I guess, is this going to be 1 year, 2 years? What's the...
Council, as I'm sure you would remember, this was a bid process in which 2 bids came in. The lower bid that came in, there were some technical defects with the bid, namely that the notary signature wasn't signed, and the date provided for the notary signature, and the individual who signed that the notary was notarizing had the different dates. So based on that application, there were defects, material defects in specification, which was provided to Mayor and Council, which I believe is why that bid was rejected. Thereafter, the bid that came in, it's recommended to be a 1 year, be for 1 year, given the possibility of litigation that may follow.
What's the change in cost from what we have now?
This bid amount is for $139,500. This one takes effect April 1st through December 31st for 2014. Last year we tried to get the same time frame. We had issues with bids. They came in way too high the first time. Second time nobody bid, and we negotiated the price. So that started later. I think it was around June. So.
I'm sorry, I remember all this now. We talked about this a lot earlier in the budget process.
I mean, we have the money available in the budget that was presented and introduced, so that's why we were able to award. And based on the attorney's advice to stay, we did fit it out for 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. And due to the technicality in the bid, we're recommending only a 1 year for this year.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Sias.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Omarasi.
Yes.
5 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution 80-14 is hereby approved. I'd like to, before we go to closed session, first I'd like to wish the Borough of Roselle Park a very happy 113th birthday. Hope everybody enjoys the festivities at the Historical Society on Saturday the 22nd. And on a sad note, I'd like to offer the condolences of members of Mayor and Council to Father Jim, who's really become an integral part of our community. His father recently passed away. Please keep Father Jim and his family in your prayers. With that said, we're now ready to go into the closed session where the Mayor and Council Borough.
Tonight, matters for referral committee or council, can I just, as we spoke, as you know, Mr. Santor passed away. He was a school crossing guard here for a good many years. And I was asking if we can bring up the council like we did for Christine Bush, and get the little thing made up and have it, then we do our sidewalk program, plan it at the, where he, at his post.
Does anybody have an issue with that?
I'll take care of that.
Let's place it out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns, issues?
Excuse me, Mayor, I did have 3 very quick items for closed session.
And they are?
In regards to surplus money from the Joint Sewer Committee, in regards to Assembly Bill 4147, two items.
Okay, those items, how do they fall under the closed session?
I want to get approval as far as the information on sharing the information from the surplus amount. And in regards to Assembly Bill 4147, it is the recommendation of the Joint Sewer Committee that we oppose that resolution, or excuse me, that bill.
Okay, I think before we discuss that, I'd like you to step over here, discuss it with legal counsel to determine how that falls into the closed session.
Hey, boss. What day is budget meeting? Huh?
Next week?
This
The one coming up,
Tuesday?
the 25th. Tuesday. 6:30.
I apologize for the delay. Just to explain, there are some very specific categories of what can and cannot be discussed in closed session. I'm just trying to get a legal determination that these items fall under a closed session item. Councilor Kelly, Mr. Hunsford?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Councilman Scusa showed me the 2-item and after we had a chance to look them over and we indicated what the purpose was. It's something that we can discuss right now. That's still something that you're on that the mayor would like to address as to that reason, Chair.
The surplus amount I was speaking with Rich on, I don't have the exact numbers now, so we'll be getting that. I want to get his approval as far as sharing that information. And then in regards to Assembly Bill 4147, it was just a recommendation of the Joint Sewer that we oppose that bill. And that's what the Joint Sewer will be doing, and they did get approval or recommendation from the municipalities to oppose that. So that was just something I wanted to bring towards council.
Okay, what I recommend we do then is put it on the agenda for the next meeting and we can vote on opposition if that's what the intent is. Or vote against the opposition.
And the surplus from joint sewer, I think every year we just do a resolution turning that over towards the fee, correct?
Is it about getting a refund from the surplus from their prior year audit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Normally, they send a letter. Normally, they send a letter. I didn't receive a copy of that yet. Was that just discussed at your meeting tonight? Okay. Normally, what happens is you either apply it as a budget refund or you can reduce your next quarter assessment. We've done it both ways. Last year, I believe we did it as a refund because it came in late. So we just did it that way.
Budget refund for the joint sewer budget.
Yes,
for the
yes,
ARP.
it goes back to the sewer operating. So once we get did they share the exact amount yet or not yet? They'll be mailing that?
They did share the exact amount.
So once we get that, we can determine and we'll make a recommendation.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing that to our attention, Councilman Kelly. So with that said, I think we're ready to go into closed session now. The Mayor and Council of Borough of Roselle Park wish to discuss matters which are described in the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, Sunshine Law, JSA 10:4-12. The general nature of the subjects we discuss in closed session are potential litigation on Martell Place, litigation, Zaleski versus Roselle Park, equipment rental services versus Roselle Park, sale of borough property, contract negotiations with Domus Corporation, contract negotiations with the clerical union. Is there anything else? Whereas the time, when, and the circumstances under which the items discussed in closed session will be disclosed to the public at a future time, now therefore be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Roselle Park adjourn the open portion of the meeting and open a closed portion of the meeting to discuss the above items. Do I hear a motion to go to closed?
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're now in closed session. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're back in open session. In closed session, we discussed the following items. Potential litigation with Martell Place. Litigation, Zaleski versus Roselle Park. Equipment rental service versus Roselle Park. Sale of borough property. Contract negotiations with Domus Corporation. And contract negotiations with the clerical unit. We did not reach a conclusion on any of those items, so therefore there's nothing else to report at this time. Are there any other items that need to be discussed this evening? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, meeting here is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.